It is 12:57 p.m. Eastern Time, the exact midday point in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a place where I lived for many years, the metropolitan area where I grew up. I lived in Center City, Philadelphia for quite a while, maybe the better part of 10 years, I guess from 2004 from 2004 to 2013. Most of that time I was living in Center City, Philadelphia, so I'm familiar with the place, and I'm not there, and I probably will never live in Center City, Philadelphia again, hopefully, and it's nice to talk about it with a palm tree right behind me. Big developments in the primary elections yesterday. I hadn't really given it much thought. I don't live there anymore, though I am technically still registered to vote in the state of Pennsylvania in a suburban county. And the only real issue was basically my mom couldn't speak with me yesterday because she's the local Republican leader somewhere in Delaware County, where I'm from. And I called and I said, I forgot. But then it hit me later in the evening. I hadn't followed it at all. There was a DA race in Democrat-controlled, overwhelmingly Democrat-controlled Philadelphia. In fact, they don't even bother the way LA and New York have in recent decades with a Republican mayor who's not really too Republican. They have done that in those cities, but Philly, they don't even bother. That's how Democratic controlled it is. The previous DA, Seth Williams, wasn't running for re-election because he had a big scandal. I think he may be going to jail. He was the first black DA, just plain old corruption, pay for play, taking free things he shouldn't have and not trying even really to hide it. There was no, money laundering like give $800,000 to Chelsea Clinton for her great insights on a news show. No, there wasn't any of the things that like higher up people do, like the Clintons, or $4 million for a speech for Barack Obama, or was it only $3 million? No, this was just plain old corruption, so they needed so the DA's race was interesting. I didn't really follow it, but the guy who won is interesting. Definitely a smart guy. Wouldn't be so stupid as to get caught taking bribes. No, he is a true believer white guy who is all about Black Lives Matter, F the police, all that stuff. He's made a career of it, and he's apparently a very good criminal defense attorney. His name, I'm blanking on it, Larry Krasner. Jewish name. I like to point these things out. Not Jewish, mother's not Jewish. He apparently was some sort of minister. I'm guessing probably from some very left-wing church. I put some articles up there, put a title, about to get real in Philthadephia, as of yesterday, and I put in a link to a tweet, very giddy, by Sean King, who has a lot in common with this guy, though Larry Krasner didn't pretend to be black. Sean King is basically the male version of Rachel Dolezal, though he's been a little smarter. I think he's gotten a nice position for himself at New York Daily News. Rachel Dolezal basically is broke and trying to find a job and a place to live after getting fired from the NAACP somewhere in Washington. I think it was Olympia. Two articles, both from the Philadelphia Inquirer, which is a left-wing publication, but it reported the facts well enough that I'm going to use it here. And let me just adjust this. It reported the facts well enough to use here, but the comments section is always fun in those things until they disabled it, as they often do in particular when there's a black on white crime. Then the comment section gets really interesting and they disable it. So the two key articles here are from just a few days ago. Soros dumps $1.4 million into Philly DA primary. And then, oh wait, nothing to fear. This just came out since last night. DA primary winner Larry Krasner. I'm not beholden to billionaire Soros. So let's get into these articles, what they say. First, the Sean King tweet. Wow, it really does look like Krasner is about to become District Attorney of Philadelphia. An enormous victory for justice reform. Keep in mind who Sean King is, and I'm not talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers rookie quarterback in 1999 who seems like a perfectly good guy, black guy out of Tulane. Would have been, had it not been for a bad call, the most obscure quarterback to play in a Super Bowl, probably, unless he had gone on to big things after that, which he did not. But no, I'm not talking about the black Sean King. I'm talking about the guy who thinks he is black named Sean King. And Sean King also tweeted, no, I have the same tweet in my notes twice. Okay, from the article from just a little bit before the election, Soros dumps $1.4 million into Philly DA primary. Billionaire George Soros, with a check for $1.45 million last week, upended the money race in the Democratic primary campaign for district attorney in Philadelphia. By the way, the other candidates weren't that much better. They just don't have the long history of being really good at defending the worst people that you would not want to see defended, including a lot of protesters, white liberals, anyone who harasses cops. That seemed to be what he particularly is passionate about. But going on with the article. On April 28th, Soros poured that cash into Philadelphia Justice and Public Safety. Note the Orwellian name of the group here. An independent political action committee running television ads in support of civil rights lawyer Larry Krasner, according to a campaign finance report filed Friday. Now, people don't know the DA candidates, so TV ads can be very effective. You know, if one person's getting them and they say the right message to the right demographic groups, you know what I'm saying. So a little money goes, and that's not a little money, that's a lot of money for a DA race. It can go a long way when the people just don't know who the candidates are. That PAC spent $497,456 of the money in the first 2 days after it registered in Philadelphia on April 25th. It paid for TV commercials, campaign literature, and online ads, and for people to canvass the city's neighborhoods, seeking support for Krasner. Remember, there were quite a few people running. Was it 7 or 8? The article will say in a second. So splitting the vote, you don't need 50% to win. It spent $222,505 more on Tuesday and Wednesday for more television airtime and literature to be mailed to voters, other reports show. And the PAC reported owing $42,585 to a related nonprofit group registered April 22nd with the IRS for polling and research. The Soros funding significantly surpasses what Krasner and the other 6 Democrats in the May 16th primary election for district attorney had been able to raise. And it fits a pattern that Soros started in 2015 when he began investing heavily in races for district attorney and sheriff across the country. Guess what else he was funding at that time? Black Lives Matter. A Soros spokesman told the Associated Press in November that he had spent $9.6 million to back candidates in those types of races because of his interest. Again, this is the guy who's funding Black Lives Matter. His interest in law enforcement issues, including abolishing the death penalty. Krasner, who has never worked as a prosecutor, but he's very good at what he has worked in, believe me, has been the most vocal opponent of the death penalty in the primary campaign. A second independent PAC, Building a Better Pennsylvania Fund, is backing former Assistant District Attorney Jack O'Neill in the race. That PAC, founded in 2014 by Local 98 of the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers and other building trades unions, they're a big deal in Philadelphia. They got the mayor, Kenny, Jim Kenny, elected and run by a guy named Johnny Doc. I don't know if he's still running it, but for years it was Johnny Doherty. Reported $255,724 in the bank at the beginning of 2017. The PAC spent $144,340 in the last week to create and air a TV commercial and run newspaper ads, according to campaign finance reports. Okay, I'm skipping some stuff. No, this is important. G. Terry Madonna, director of the Center for Politics and Public Affairs at Franklin and Marshall College, predicted that Soros' money will have a serious impact, in part because the candidates have agreed on many key issues, like reforming the cash bail system, decriminalization of small amounts of drugs, treatment over prosecution for drug addiction, and reentry programs for inmates being released from prisons. Now that sounds innocuous enough. Keep in mind where this is coming from. This is coming from the Philadelphia Inquirer, which is very left of center. The whole campaign has sort of drifted leftward, with the emphasis on justice reforms, Madonna said. It seems like 3 or 4 of these candidates are essentially interchangeable, and Soros has picked one of them. A 2010 U.S. Supreme Court ruling allows independent PACs to spend unlimited funds exceeding the city's campaign finance limits for this race of $6,000 for individuals and $23,800 for political action committees, as long as they do not coordinate efforts with candidates or campaigns. This would not be the first time an independent PAC overwhelmed candidate fundraising in a Philadelphia campaign. Mayor Kenny and his closest rival, Kenny is white, by the way, and his closest rival, State Senator Anthony H. Williams, who's black and I think a little more toward the center. Big supporter of school choice? I think so. I may be wrong. No, I'm thinking of maybe another guy. Each raised more than $1.3 million to compete in the 2015 Democratic primary election for mayor. A PAC supporting Williams, American Cities, raised $6.8 million, more than all 6 Democrats running in that primary combined. Building a Better Pennsylvania Fund, which backed Kenny, raised almost $1.5 million. And then the second article, which I have the heading, "Oh wait, nothing to fear. DA primary winner Larry Krasner, I'm not beholden to billionaire Soros." Make sure, by the way, to see the picture. I have the link up there, but make sure to go to the link and see the picture. Very telling there. And my point is, why should he be beholden to Soros? He doesn't need to be bribed. He thinks all these things that Soros believes, that Soros wants him to believe. He's a true believer. Look, I've looked at his bio. I've looked at what he's done the last few decades. He's really into the whole left-wing thing. It's not necessarily about him getting rich or getting free stuff, like bribed. I don't think he's going to be bribed at all. He really believes this. So in his first press briefing as the Democratic nominee for district attorney Tuesday night, Larry Krasner thanked voters, defended his absence of prosecutorial experience, and said he would not be beholden to billionaire George Soros, who backed the Political Action Committee funding his campaign. And by the way, you know, yeah, he doesn't have prosecutorial experience, but he's not in there in court. The way an office like that runs, or a state attorney's offices, you have a lot of people working for you. You're basically managing an office and choosing the priorities, which is a big deal, by the way. Krasner spoke with reporters shortly before 11 p.m. in a laundry room, the quietest place in the crowded and boisterous John C. Anderson apartment complex, where he held his victory party. Good symbolism there. I imagine it's not too wealthy an area, not a hotel. He's down with the people. Here's what he said of his win. "I don't see it as my victory. I think it's a victory of ideas and a campaign of ideas, and those ideas were supported by people who shared the same values." Well played. This is a sharp one. This guy is very savvy. Krasner, 56. Okay, this is repeating what I said before. And he says, Krasner said, "I don't have to pick up the phone for anyone. It's no disrespect to Mr. Soros, whom I have never met, or his organization, but the bottom line is I have held these views for a long time." Earlier in the night, some attendees had erupted in anti-fraternal order of police chants. Look at the way the Inquirer sanitizes it. In other words, it was probably F the police or fry 'em like bacon. I don't know. I can't find out from this, but I'm guessing that's probably what it was. Krasner, who has sued law enforcement dozens of times over his career, repeated a message he's delivered throughout the campaign. Well, of course he's going to say these things. "I think everybody realizes that the vast majority of police officers in Philadelphia are really good people." So what does that mean? Like 60% of them are? 70%? Like me, they hate bad police officers, which he emphasizes, and they need the backing of law enforcement to make sure that the good police officers are promoted. We'll get to an evaluation of this in the comment section. That the good police officers have room to do their job, that the good police officers are safe, and that the bad police officers who endanger them and who cause there to be a disrespect and a rift between them and the community are out of the way. Notice who is creating the rift between them and the community. Not instigators, of course. It's the bad police officers. Notice the words he used. Krasner, who has worked for 30 years in criminal defense but never as a prosecutor, dismissed concerns a group of former assistant district attorneys has raised about his readiness to leave the office. "I've been told, as many of us finding our way up have been told, that there are things I couldn't do my entire life. Turns out I could, and sure, there are going to be some people telling me, you can't do this. Well, it's really not about me. It's about having the right people around me, but I feel very confident that, yes, I can do this." Now, notice how they make the issue that he doesn't have, the only reason you could be against him is that he doesn't have the experience prosecuting cases. Well, that's not that uncommon. He's running an office where other people do have the experience. That's the reality. The issue is he's a freaking left-wing Soros type, Black Lives Matter type. That's the issue. And I saw some Facebook posts of people I know of, don't really know them that well. I know who they are. I've met them in Philly, real left-wing Jewish liberals. You can imagine the type. Like, Black Lives Matter is a religion for these warped people. Oh man, was one of them just so giddy. She was so celebratory, and she had been putting this on her Facebook page for weeks. I could throw up. I'm not even Facebook friends with her, but I look because I know who she is, and you know, she's the kind of person who tried to run for office, lost badly in a Democratic primary. You know, put her name for Philadelphia. I hate politicians who, by the way, put for jurisdiction. Yeah, like it's all about you being for them and helping them. It has nothing to do with yourself and your own ambitions. Just a prejudice I have, and that applies to people on the Republican side too. I just hate I'm going to pick a random name, Robin for North Dakota. I hope there's no Robin in North Dakota. So anyhow, now I went through the comments section. I didn't even look through the comments on my Facebook posts, which I should have, to favor the people who I actually have some connection with. I just went to the Philadelphia Inquirer, and the comments section there has not yet been disabled, as it often quickly is when there is watered down reporting of a black attack with white victims, because the comments section gets pretty lively in those things, and it quickly gets disabled. But here, not yet disabled at least. So here's some of the best of them. An anti-cop, pro-criminal defense attorney as DA. And in response to that, with his supporters shouting anti-fraternal order of police chants in celebration of his win. Ugh. And you can imagine what those chants were. Another, Philly is truly doomed. This is what I alluded to. Watch crime rates jump because, boom. I added the boom there. Cops will back off doing their jobs out of fear that cop hater Krasner, the commie, will prosecute them for doing their jobs. Exactly how it works. Look at so many other cities where that's the case. Baltimore, you can name them. Response to that, you have a point. Krasner needs to do some ride-alongs and see firsthand. Oh, like he doesn't know what goes on, like he's just uninformed. Some of his stances have partial merit. Those are the ones the Inquirer emphasizes. However, he has a ways to climb out of the rabbit hole, like he ever will. He'll behave himself to some extent. You know, it's like the way the ACLU every once in a while takes a stand that people can agree with, just to justify, to take the heat off them when they're doing what their real bread and butter is and what their real passion is. Okay, great comment here about the white flight that's been going on quite a bit in Philadelphia. It's really big numbers in terms of white flight. Time to get out of Dodge. Used to be the district attorney would campaign on fighting crime, not defending BLM, Black Lives Matter BS. Is he going to stop his BLM buddies from murdering each other every night in this town? Is he going to do anything about the Antifa snowflakes or the, in quotations, misguided youth when they tear up Center City? And that's been going up on a lot of minor attacks, like taking pocketbooks, just pushing Whitey down. Apparently not. Just more proof that the inmates are running the asylum. Pretty soon, this will be a lovely place to live, like Detroit or Chicago. By the way, I don't think Chicago's the best example to use, because there are places in Chicago that are very pleasant. And let's keep in mind, Chicago is the most segregated major city there is. There are places where you can walk for quite a while in Chicago and not see anyone black in white areas. So Chicago, that's not true in Philadelphia, and it's pretty mixed in the downtown, but there are plenty of places in Chicago where it really is white ethnic. Not the best example to use. I think Baltimore would be a better example than Chicago, where white flight has really occurred. There are plenty of white areas still in Chicago. In fact, it's a majority. I don't think it's a majority black city. Okay, another comment. First lie out of Krasner's mouth. He has 1.5 million reasons he's beholden to Soros. The guy that bails people out during liberal riots and pays people to protest, fight our police officers, and destroy our city. Krasner is a fraud. And again, well, I don't know if Soros really is going to need to order him to do something anyhow, because he already believes in it. It's like the woman at the IRS. Why am I blanking on her name right now? Man, I can't even remember her name. You know who I'm talking about. Oh, Lois Lerner. Rush Limbaugh often makes the point, no, they didn't give her orders. There are no written orders, because these people all know. They're all on the same team. They're all on the same page. They don't even need to be told what to do, much less have it put in writing. And then the commenter continues, that sounds exactly like something a Soros puppet would say. A response to that, what prompted a foreigner to finance some white unknown's run for DA in Philadelphia? And a response to that, read Soros's biography and the investigations into this man, and you will understand his motives. Soros should long ago have been charged as an anarchist, and today should be incarcerated related to influencing the direction of this country. And a response, because this guy will be heir to the mayoral throne, that we keep people in positions to retain sanctuary status. Sanctuary cities are a big deal. One, notice, Maggie Farnsworth, I appreciate your loyalty in watching all these videos, but I don't need to hear, and no one wants to read your technical comments. I see you, but you're not coming through. Zip, zero, nada. Everyone doesn't want to read that comment. I love you, Maggie, even though I've never met you. I don't even know what you look like. But that's a problem on your end. It's working fine here. I would know if there's a problem here. But, if you have a problem with your particular Wi-Fi or where you are, don't put it in the comments section, and I'm not going to interrupt what I'm doing to help you work out finding a place with better Wi-Fi. Okay, go on. Let me just take another intermission and read this comment, or at least what I can read of it, because I can only read four lines from D.H. Parsons. There goes the tourist industry. Maybe not, because a lot of school trips still there. Philadelphia is a tourist mecca for American history, but that is going to end with this development. I will never go there now. I will not put my money into a community. Okay, continuing now. Billionaires always give money with strings. Sadly, in the current state, the Dems condemn this kind of money when it's the Adelsons or the Koch brothers giving to Republicans. Yet the Republicans will complain when it's Soros or Saban, Chaim Saban, out there in LA, who claims to be a big Israel supporter, yet he supports Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. Shame on him. Response to that one. I'm opposed to any person of wealth having influence on our government and directing the course of this country, regardless of party affiliation. Combined, Steyer, Gates, Zuckerberg, Bloomberg, Koch brothers, and Adelson register far below the corruption scale of the wealthy, evil, and sinister of George Soros. Now this one is a response to someone bringing up something about Seth Rich, which is important, but people were bringing it up a little bit much in the comments section when it's not directly related here. Those emails are not relevant to the communities in Philadelphia where violent crime disproportionately affects the residents on a day-to-day basis. I only have so much sympathy for people who are being plagued by crime who continue to vote for Democrats. Sorry, that's all I got. Only very little. Kranzer's financial affiliation with a convicted criminal, Soros, who violated international law by dealing in for-profit business with nations engaging in human rights violations, as if that's the only thing he's done, does not cause one to be comfortable with Krasner's understanding of prosecution. Now this is a comment about the, I think everybody realizes that the vast majority of police officers in Philadelphia are really good people. Like me, they hate bad police officers and they need the backing of law enforcement to make sure that the good police officers are promoted, that the blah, blah, blah. I can't find anything to disagree with in this statement. I support the police and I think this is the best way to support them. Yeah, but the rifts are not caused by bad police officers in most cases. Let's be honest about that. Another comment. Agree that it is the first of what we can expect to be many lies out of his mouth. He's probably... Can you imagine how much this guy has lied as a lawyer, getting the worst kind of criminals off the hook? Lawyers, you know how it is. Lies out of his mouth. He is probably bent over and lubed up waiting for Soros already. Also, whenever you see Helen Jim that happy, I don't know who that is. I think she's someone Hispanic involved in politics in Philadelphia. When you see Helen Jim that happy, you know it is a bad day for the city. Great having a DA who has never prosecuted a case. Again, not the biggest deal compared to other issues with this guy. A response to that comment. She makes 0 sense to me. They're talking about this Helen Jim, but this is interesting. She's a suffragette for undocumented Hispanic residents, yet she completely ignored Negrin for DA, who happens to be Hispanic, with an understanding of Hispanic residents that she could never have. What's her game? She plays both sides of the fence, I would say to that. Follow the money. Response to that. Anything to secure her city-funded wheels. Another. Could one of you Soros haters explain to me what you think his interest in the Philly DA's race is? Response to that. For the same reason, Soros funded the campaigns of state's attorney general candidates around the country. Placed his puppets in key local and state offices and spread out from there. Response, and remember, a lot of people, a lot of lawyers can get a lot of money from police misconduct, civil suits. Keep that in mind here. And a lot of money out of that goes to Democrats, and it's a circle here, a cycle, and a circle. Response: how about the continued debasement of the American economy, for starters? Yeah, it costs something to the American economy when no one in their right mind would want to set up shop in Philadelphia, a place with an infrastructure that's already built. Another response: read Soros' bio and pull up investigations into this sinister man, and you will better understand his agenda and motives. Here's an interesting point. I wonder if Krasner will be allowed to attend the next BLM rally. They do have a strict policy of banning whites from their meetings. Response: George Soros funded Krasner. George Soros funds BLM. A response to that is, who funds them is public knowledge. But the question being, would Krasner or even Soros himself be permitted or welcome at a BLM meeting or gathering? The answer is no. Remember, BLM publicly told everyone, you can support us, but not join us. Just like American universities now have a separate no whites allowed safe space, but a no black safe space is unconstitutional. Harvard, that's where I went undergrad, has a separate black graduation per request of a black coalition. And by the way, I will add, it's not separate but equal for Harvard. It's separate and equal, because you get to go to both graduations. Double the pleasure, double the fun. Krasner and Soros would not be welcomed in them either. Here's an interesting story from someone in Philadelphia, I guess North Philly. There used to be a German butcher at the corner of I and Tioga Streets in Kensington, which is center city toward northeast Philly, when I was growing up. Siegfried Karnas. All the local hunters took their kills there to be butchered. He always made it a point to tell you that I don't steal no meat, in his broken English accent, but the fact of the matter is he always stole meat. Your deer in parts was never even close to what it was whole. My point is, you don't expect your butcher to steal your meat, just like you don't expect your politicians to be beholden to their donors, but they always are, and when he says the opposite to try and make you feel better about him, it's worse than you thought. Again, I have mixed feelings about that, because these guys probably already saw eye to eye before any money even changed hands. Just like he won't be the next indicted Dem DA when elected. I don't know about that. No reason to think he's corrupt rather than a true believer. He's made plenty of money as a defense attorney. And here's someone who actually likes Krasner commenting. The comment section at the liberal Philadelphia Inquirer is dominated by people who are not that liberal. I guess they have to vent somewhere. People who are frustrated with an article and coverage generally are more likely to put things in the comment sections. This person writes, and I'll do a liberal whiny voice, proud of Krasner. I attended one of his early speeches prior to receiving the Soros money. His policies were exactly the same. The takeaway shouldn't be that money can buy elections. Negrin self-funded to essentially the same amount. For another example, look at the funding disparity between HRC and DJT and how that turned out. Well, that's a good point, actually, by this liberal. The takeaway should be that a progressive platform resonates with people and should be the path forward to the Democratic Party. But for all the Republicans on the forum, don't worry, the DNC will never get the message. There will still be plenty of people prosecuted. Krasner just recognizes that civil rights and public safety are not opposing forces. They go hand in hand. Fight the power and resist. No, I added that last part. Okay. Just a few more. Considering some of the groups he's represented, the police force might as well be disbanded. He's certainly no fan of law enforcement. Another? Is that a bug on my back? I voted for the Latino man, even though I knew he didn't stand a chance in a racist, black, white, and preferably Jewish, again, Krasner is not actually Jewish, he had a Jewish dad, preferably Jewish race for DA in Philadelphia. Business as per usual. Thanks for getting behind Negrin, Helen, Miss Sanctuary City, Jim. Phony, depressing. When it's Trump, it's Russia's fault. When it's a Soros puppet, everyone is terrified to mention the connection. I guess that's related to the lack of coverage by the Philadelphia Inquirer. Just a little bit more. Krasner, crazy old wealthy man Soros. He would not have provided $1.45 million otherwise. You, Larry Krasner, have been purchased. Let's not pretend you don't have to follow what he says after you took that much money. LOL. Soros funds all drug legalization movements he provides to anarchist organizations. He advocates open borders, a return of euthanasia. He hates cops, hates anything Christian, and his goal is to fundamentally reshape America into what he wants it to be. Soros uses the euphemism reform. Funny, that is what Krasner keeps saying. He wants to reform. the district attorney's office. Into what exactly? Into public defender's office too? Best comment of all, perhaps. Oh, now that the election is over, we now have the Inky, that's the Inquirer, a nickname for it. We now have the Inky reporting the Soros donation. Why no reporting before the election? Well, they actually did. But I'm sure they didn't emphasize it, but I did read the article where they did. Would the Republicans on? Here's a dumb comment. Would the Republicans on here say the same for Koch's puppet Trump? Crickets. Well, of course, the Kochs were not behind Trump. Duh. And then, news flash, your campaign wasn't until his money came along. Go screw yourself. Question, can he divorce himself from past political allegiances to rule accordingly on matters of legal importance without being beholden to past supporters? That means ruling according to the evidence and facts, even though they may not make him very happy, and declaring a police shooting a justified shooting? Response, of course not. He's another Dem who will get the full endorsement of this fine publication, sarcastically about the Inquirer, and be elected easily anyway. They never learn. Another, this guy is soft, plain and simple. You won't succeed as a DA in one of the most violent cities in the country, being Mr. Softy, having never prosecuted these types of criminals. This guy has no idea what he's doing, and it's going to be quite apparent very soon. This is funny. Let's try to raise the bar in Philly politics. Let's see if this guy can stay out of jail. That'll be an improvement. I don't know if it will. Okay, this is the very last one. It's kind of long, but it's the last one. Sure, he has defended innocent people in the past. Criminal attorneys are a necessity, however. Oh wait, criminal attorneys are a necessity. However, since he has never been a prosecutor, maybe some of his stances will change as he comes face to face with the victims of crimes and has to defend these innocent victims as opposed to breaking them down. Well, it's really the state versus the criminal. It's not a civil court where the victim is one of the parties. Twisting the system all for an acquittal of some scumbag criminal. Some of his stances have partial merit. Some of his stances should help the burdens on the system. However, once again, he never being on the side of prosecutor, he will have to change his tune to a degree. Damaging property, petty theft, minor stealing are still crimes, and by not prosecuting these smaller crimes, it gives the impression that we have lowered our standards of decent human behavior. This has nothing to do with archaic laws and as quoted in the article. Expectation of integrity and decency doesn't change because it's 2017. Look, my view, Philadelphia, rest in peace. It's over for that city. It's just not coming back. That's my view. And I'm glad I'm not spending my time there. That's for sure. And maybe I'll go to the beach later and think about this in particular, how I would much rather be there than in Center City, Philadelphia.